a professional kickboxing record of 75 wins and 4 losses, including 29 knockouts, a professional MMA record of 24 wins and 4 losses, including 16 knockouts, a 2-time UFC middleweight champion who successfully defended the title 5 times in a 3-year span. Israel Adesanya's rise from a striking prodigy to the UFC's most electrifying champion seems straight out of a movie plot. In a few years, the Last Stylebender captured the hearts of fans worldwide with his outstanding skill and flair. But behind the show-stopping knockouts and seemingly unwavering confidence, the pressure to remain at the top proved to be much heavier than he expected. This is the story of a champion who seemed untouchable until his personal and professional life started to crumble in the public eye. Born on July 22, 1989, Izzy grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, surrounded by a loving family and vibrant culture. His parents worked hard to provide for their 5 children. His dad was an accountant and his mother was a nurse. Even though their family was relatively well off, as the oldest sibling, Adesanya learned responsibility early, stepping into a leadership role for his younger siblings. His Nigerian roots remain a big part of who he is. He speaks Yoruba proudly, loves traditional foods like jollof rice, and carries his culture with him wherever he goes. Even after moving to New Zealand when he was 10, his connection to Nigeria stayed strong. The move to New Zealand was a big change for him though. In Nigeria, race wasn't something he had to think about, but in New Zealand, he became one of the only black kids at his school. He faced bullying and racism, which made him feel like an outsider. He once described it as being a rat scurrying around the edges of a room to avoid conflict. Adesanya found unexpected comfort in the school library, where he read books about dogs to escape his reality. He also developed small habits to boost his confidence, like talking to himself in the mirror and reminding himself of his worth. These moments of self-reflection helped him build a determination to prove his strength. As a teenager, Izzy participated in dance competitions across New Zealand, regularly winning and using dance as a way to navigate feelings of being a misfit after moving from Nigeria. Adesanya's love for anime also shaped his journey. Shows like Naruto and Dragon Ball Z weren't just entertainment for him. They taught him lessons about perseverance and overcoming challenges. His nickname, the Last Stylebender, is inspired by Avatar: The Last Airbender, combining his love for anime with his creative fighting style. In 2008, at 18 years old, Adesanya's life changed when he watched the martial arts movie Ongbak. Inspired by the film, he started training in kickboxing and quickly excelled, achieving an incredible amateur record of 32 wins and no losses. Kickboxing gave him a new sense of confidence. By 2010, at 20 years old, Adesanya decided to fully commit to fighting. That year, Adesanya stepped into the ring for his professional kickboxing debut. Facing Tim Antonio, he made a statement. His unanimous decision win was the first step in a career that would take him across the globe. At 21, he left home to pursue his dreams and started training at City Kickboxing gym in Auckland. This decision was a turning point in his life. His family, who had hoped he'd follow a more traditional career path, initially worried about his choice, but eventually supported him as they saw his dedication and progress. Adesanya's journey wasn't easy. When he left his studies in computer design to train full-time, he faced financial struggles, including moments when he didn't have enough money and had to sleep in the gym, but his determination and resilience kept him going. His decision to train under Eugene Bareman at City Kickboxing would shape his future. Adesanya and Eugene's partnership began under unusual circumstances. Eugene recalls meeting Adesanya when he came to corner a friend during an MMA fight in Auckland. The encounter was serendipitous. Though Adesanya got absolutely pasted in his first MMA fight, Eugene saw potential in him. A few months later, Adesanya packed up his life and moved to Auckland, telling Eugene, "I chucked all my stuff in the car, left everything I had, and I want to train at your gym." Adesanya started his MMA journey in 2012, when he had his first professional fight in New Zealand. He worked hard and quickly became known for his skills, winning 11 fights in a row without a single loss. From 2012 to 2015, Adesanya found himself in China, competing with the Wu Linfeng promotion. Here, he became a regular name, thrilling fans with his unique style and remarkable skill. During this time, he racked up an impressive 7-fight winning streak and earned the nickname the Black Dragon from Chinese fans. He was a relentless competitor, sometimes fighting as many as 4 times in a single month. The sheer intensity of this period forged him into a fighter who could adapt, endure, and thrive under pressure. Adesanya's career continued to ascend, but it was not without setbacks. In April 2016, he faced Alex Pereira for the first time in China, marking the beginning of their story. At the time, Adesanya was already seen as one of the best middleweight kickboxers, with an incredible 18-fight winning streak. Pereira, on the other hand, was still working hard to build his reputation. The fight was very close, but Pereira won via a controversial unanimous decision. This sparked a rivalry that would become legendary. Despite the loss, Adesanya bounced back, stringing together several victories. 6 months later, in October, Izzy won the Glory 34 middleweight contender tournament. This established him as a top contender in one of the world's most prestigious kickboxing promotions. The anticipated rematch happened in March 2017 in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Pereira's hometown, and proved to be one of the toughest moments in Adesanya's career. Adesanya dominated the first 2 rounds, using his skill and landing great combinations, but in the 3rd round, everything changed. Pereira landed a powerful left hook that knocked Adesanya out cold, making it the first time Izzy had been knocked out in his career. This loss was a turning point and a moment he would never forget. This was Adesanya's final professional kickboxing bout, but this loss didn't define him. It propelled him towards a new path. At the age of 27, Adesanya made the bold decision to fully transition to MMA, leaving behind an extraordinary kickboxing career with a record of 75 wins and 5 losses. Izzy had been competing in both kickboxing and MMA, but the second loss to Pereira seemed to push him to make a choice. He wanted to prove himself in a new sport and escape the mental block that Pereira had become for him in kickboxing, which is interesting considering how everything would eventually turn out. One of these standout moments in Izzy's kickboxing career was his fight against Melvin Gillard in 2017. Adesanya's precise striking and calm under pressure showcased his potential to dominate on bigger stages. This caught the attention of the UFC, and in February 2018, Adesanya made his debut at UFC 221, where he fought Rob Wilkinson. He showed off his amazing striking skills, winning via TKO in the 2nd round.
Israel Adesanya, so-so according to him, but the Last Stylebender does it 12-0. He makes good on the UFC debut tonight.
This victory was just the beginning of his rise to the top. Interestingly enough, Adesanya would later reveal that he started seeing a therapist immediately after his UFC debut, recognizing the potential mental health challenges of newfound fame. Over the next 2 years, the Last Stylebender kept climbing the ranks by beating the likes of Brad Tavares, Derek Brunson, and Anderson Silva. In his fight against the Spider, Adesanya even mimicked Rock Lee's pose from Naruto, blending his passion for anime with his artistry inside the octagon. Each fight showed how much he was growing as a fighter and how he could handle different styles in the octagon. One of the biggest moments in his career came in April 2019 when he fought Kelvin Gastelum. It was a hard-fought 5-round battle for the interim middleweight championship. Adesanya's skill, heart, and determination stood out, particularly in the 5th round when he dug deep and dominated Gastelum with sharp strikes and relentless pressure. His ability to stay composed under extreme pressure and execute a flawless spinning elbow was unforgettable. Many fans consider this fight one of the best in UFC history because of the non-stop action, dramatic momentum swings, and Adesanya's incredible willpower to push through adversity and secure the win. Later that year in October, Adesanya faced Robert Whittaker at UFC 243 in Melbourne, Australia. Whittaker was known for his toughness and well-rounded skills, making this a highly anticipated fight. Adesanya came in with a smart strategy for his aggressive style. Fighting in front of over 57,000 fans, Adesanya delivered an incredible performance, knocking out Whittaker in the 2nd round to become the undisputed middleweight champion. After winning the championship, he took a moment to thank his parents for instilling in him the resilience, discipline, and pride that have guided his journey. This connection to his heritage is a constant source of strength, reminding him of his roots and inspiring him to represent his culture on the world stage. This was also the night when Izzy's relationship with his then-girlfriend Charlotte Powdrell became public, as they were first seen together after his victory over Whittaker. Throughout their time together, Adesanya maintained their relationship private, rarely discussing Powdrell in interviews or public appearances. However, as you will realize in a minute or two, that would change. Back to the octagon, Adesanya was now a champion. During his title reign, he defended his belt against some of the best in the world, like Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa, and Marvin Vettori. His fight against Poatan at UFC 253 was especially memorable because Adesanya completely outclassed the undefeated Brazilian, winning a 2nd round TKO. In 2020, during the COVID-19 lockdowns, City Kickboxing's head coach Eugene Bareman devised a creative solution to keep his fighters, including Izzy, ready for competition. He turned the gym into a special training bubble where fighters lived, trained, and prepared for upcoming fights for 2 weeks straight. However, as close as they have always been, Izzy and Eugene's relationship has had a few rough patches. In 2021, Adesanya made a controversial rape joke, which led to a public fallout. As a father and husband, Eugene found the comment distasteful and pushed Izzy to take responsibility. This moment showed that their relationship goes beyond fighting, with Eugene holding Adesanya accountable as a person and not just an athlete. City Kickboxing is at the heart of the bond between Izzy and Eugene. The rules are clear there, and everyone is treated equally. Eugene's coaching style is strict and disciplined. Even a superstar like Adesanya isn't above the rules. One morning, he was sent home for being 6 minutes late to practice. This commitment to accountability has set the tone for the gym's high standards. Adesanya is often referred to Eugene as the big bro at the gym, emphasizing their close bond. Speaking of people who will always be associated with Izzy, one way or another, when Poatan joined the UFC, fans couldn't stop talking about the possibility of a third fight between him and Adesanya, this time in the Octagon. That highly anticipated fight took place at UFC 281 in November 2022. The hype was enormous, with everyone wondering if Adesanya could finally defeat Pereira. Adesanya started strong, almost finishing Pereira in the first round with a powerful punch. Throughout most of the fight, he showcased his sharp striking skills and even improved his grappling, managing a takedown in the third. But the fifth round changed everything. Pereira, known for his incredible power, landed a series of hard strikes that hurt Adesanya and led to a TKO victory. The result shocked the MMA world. Adesanya had dominated the middleweight division for so long and seemed on track for another win, but Pereira's relentless attack turned the tide.
Adesanya's on one leg, two more! Down goes the champion! Pereira trying to close the show!
For Pereira, the victory was monumental. It crowned him as the UFC middleweight champion in just his fourth fight with the promotion. For Adesanya, it was a tough defeat, but he handled it with grace. In post-fight interviews, he praised Pereira's performance and talked about learning from the experience. The rivalry had now become one of the most talked about in combat sports. Some fans viewed Poatan as unbeatable, while others believe Adesanya had what it took to turn things around. Many were eager for a rematch, wondering how Adesanya could change his strategy to finally overcome his nemesis. 2023 was undoubtedly the most eventful year in Adesanya's career. As you will soon realize, at the beginning of the year, reports began to surface about a breakup between Adesanya and his ex-girlfriend Charlotte Paldrell. Adesanya reportedly split with her in 2021, but this was only made public 2 years later. The reports claimed that Paldrell was considering legal action to claim half of Adesanya's wealth, stating that her support during their relationship entitled her to a share. Adesanya responded publicly through social media. In a series of strong posts, he accused Paldrell of betraying his trust, claiming she had sold private information about him. He also accused her of creating financial strain during their relationship, saying, "You never helped me make money, only cost me money." Adesanya's frustration was clear, calling her an entitled pompous brat and alleging that she now had a sugar daddy to support her financially. He even hinted at being prepared for legal action, writing, "Me loading up receipts, you should have left me alone. I got time and lawyer money." The public breakup caused a stir, with some viewing Adesanya's social media post as immature or overly harsh. Others sympathized with him, understanding the challenges of dealing with personal betrayal while being in the public eye. Despite the controversy, Izzy continued to focus on his career. In April 2023, Adesanya and Pereira stepped into the octagon once again, continuing one of the most intense rivalries in MMA history. This fight, part of UFC 287, wasn't just about the middleweight title, it was personal. The history between Izzy and Pereira made this fight a must-watch. Pereira had defeated Adesanya twice in kickboxing and once in the UFC. For Adesanya, the fight was more about than a belt, it was about redemption. Tensions were high before the fight. Adesanya called his preparation for this match the hardest of his career. On the other hand, Pereira, training with legends like Glover Teixeira, entered with confidence and a plan to defend his title. The UFC hyped the rematch to the fullest, and fans couldn't wait to see what would happen. The fight began cautiously, with both men studying each other. Adesanya relied on sharp jabs and his reach advantage, while Pereira landed powerful leg kicks to slow Adesanya down. Everything changed in an instant during the second round. As Pereira pressed forward, Izzy unleashed a perfectly timed right hand that sent Pereira crashing to the canvas. Without hesitation, Adesanya followed up with ground strikes, forcing the referee to stop the fight at 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Again, Pereira so dangerous.
Oh! Counter right from Adesanya! Pereira down and
crowd erupted as Adesanya reclaimed his title in dramatic fashion. The knockout was a career-defining moment for Izzy. In his post-fight interview, he said,
"I hope every one of you behind the screens or in this arena can feel this level of happiness just one time in your life."
Pereira, gracious in defeat, acknowledged Adesanya's skill and their shared history. Fans and fighters celebrated Izzy's performance, including McGregor, who tweeted congratulating the Last Stylebender. The win solidified Adesanya's legacy as one of the greatest middleweights in UFC history. It was redemption, as Adesanya proved his ability to learn from past defeats and come back stronger. After his fights against Poatan, Izzy focused on becoming an even better fighter. He worked hard to improve his grappling, which had been a weaker part of his game. Outside the octagon, he kept his signature flair, but added a more thoughtful and mature side. Adesanya often wore traditional Nigerian clothing during fight events and spoke Yoruba in interviews, proudly showing his heritage. His walkouts became legendary, with drummers and dancers celebrating his roots, making him not just a fighter, but a cultural icon. However, there was about to be a turning point in the Last Stylebender's career. It all started with a mistake, a drunk driving incident in Auckland, New Zealand. In August 2023, Adesanya was found with a blood alcohol level much higher than the legal limit. He was fined $1,500, banned from driving for 6 months, and required to attend a program to address drunk driving. The judge chose not to convict him, explaining that a conviction might hurt his ability to travel and get sponsorships. This marked the second time Adesanya had avoided a conviction for a driving offense, but it became a turning point in his life. This didn't just bring legal trouble, it also impacted his personal life. His coach Eugene admitted the incident caused a big rift between them. Things got worse after Adesanya's court appearance. He posted videos from inside the courtroom on social media without permission from the judge, which is against the law in New Zealand. While he deleted the post later, the damage was done. Many people criticized him for being reckless and immature. Adesanya used this as a chance to grow. He reflected on his actions, worked on becoming more self-aware, and surrounded himself with a strong support system. He has been open about his commitment to self-improvement. Adesanya has also been honest about the importance of mental health, once saying, "Not everyone is mentally ill, but if you don't look after your mental health, you're gonna get sick." In a sport where being tough is often the most valued trait, his openness about mental health is certainly refreshing. On the other hand, these controversies have affected people's perception of Adesanya. Some have questioned his decisions and whether he's taking responsibility as a public figure. In September 2023, he fought Sean Strickland at UFC 293 in what many expected to be a straightforward title defense. Adesanya was the reigning champion and had shown dominant performances in previous fights. He was known for his precise striking, excellent footwork, and ability to adapt to any opponent. Fans believed his experience and technical skill would overwhelm Strickland, but things didn't go as planned, and Strickland surprised everyone. With constant pressure and a smart energy, he stopped Adesanya from getting into his rhythm. In the first round, Strickland landed a powerful right hand that knocked Adesanya down and gave Strickland control of the fight. From that moment, Strickland's strategy worked perfectly. Strickland kept moving forward, cutting off the cage and landing punches. He used a high guard to block Adesanya's counters and stayed close enough to smother his kicks, forcing Izzy into uncomfortable exchanges. Strickland's ability to maintain relentless pressure while avoiding major damage disrupted Izzy's rhythm and neutralized his usual precision. By the end of the fight, Adesanya lost by unanimous decision, shocking the MMA world. Even Strickland was surprised, calling Adesanya a bad mother effer in his post-fight interview. The upset was huge. Adesanya couldn't find his usual flow, and even Dana White said,
Israel looked like he was in slow motion.
Fans and fighters like Bisping and Ben Askren reacted quickly. Strickland, who was ranked number 5 before the fight, had just pulled off one of the biggest upsets in UFC history. Even though the loss was tough, Adesanya showed his character. In the octagon, he raised Strickland's hand to show respect. Later in interviews, he admitted that the loss felt like a bad dream.
So yeah, that just felt like a bad dream.
After losing to Strickland, Adesanya was seen backstage comforting his family and teammates. Even though it was clear he was hurting, he showed a lot of heart by being there for the people who supported him. This was Adesanya's second loss in 3 fights, and it made people question if he could stay at the top of the division. The defeats also impacted his position in the rankings, raising doubts among many fans about whether his reign of dominance was coming to an end. Many wondered if the once seemingly unbeatable champion could adapt and evolve to reclaim his status, but his coach Eugene believed in him, saying Israel has what it takes to make a comeback. He's still one of the best in the world. The Strickland loss, he'll get over. He just fought badly and it was unexplainable. After the loss, Izzy focused on reflecting and improving. He talked about adjusting his style and finding new motivation. He had fought 4 times in 14 months and needed time to recover physically and mentally, which is exactly what he did. Izzy focused on his mental health, and with help from his possibility manager, Janet, he worked through challenges like childhood bullying and the pressures of fame. She introduced him to mindfulness techniques like meditation and positive self-talk, which helped him regain his confidence and purpose both in and out of the octagon. During his break, Adesanya made an impact outside of fighting. He spoke out for racial equality and inspired young people in Nigeria and New Zealand. Adesanya and his coach Eugene made big changes to how he trains. He spent more time improving his grappling and building strength. He also does advanced workouts to boost his endurance and explosiveness. Outside the gym, he changed his diet and started using hyperbaric therapy to recover faster, calling this approach living like a proper athlete. Adesanya started working with mental skills coach Dave Wood on breathing techniques and mindset training to improve his performance. These changes show how serious Adesanya was about getting better. Some fans criticize his fighting style and trash talking, but many still admired his skill and determination. They believe he had what it took to come back stronger than ever. His next fight was against Dricus Du Plessis at UFC 305 in August 2024. Du Plessis was on an impressive winning streak, defeating opponents with his well-rounded skills. This fight wasn't just about the middleweight title, it was also about pride, identity, and the representation of African MMA on the global stage. Izzy came into the fight with a lot of pressure. Fans knew him as one of the best in the sport, a fighter who always delivered exciting performances, but Du Plessis added fuel to the fire with a controversial moment.
We train in Africa, we're African born, we're African raised, we still reside in Africa, we train out of Africa. That's an African champion, and that's who I'll be.
For Adesanya, who has always been proud of his Nigerian roots, the statement felt disrespectful. It sparked debates among fans and set the stage for a fight that was personal. The rivalry grew even more heated during the pre-fight press conference. Emotions ran high, and Izzy walked off the stage extremely frustrated. By the time fight night arrived, the stakes couldn't have been higher. The atmosphere was electric. In the first round, both tested each other, but Du Plessis landed a strong right hand that stunned Adesanya. In the second, Du Plessis switched his strategy. He mixed grappling with striking, taking Izzy out of his comfort zone. He scored multiple takedowns and controlled the fight, forcing Izzy to focus on defense. But Adesanya wasn't ready to give up. In the third round, he fought back with clean punches, giving the crowd hope that he might turn things around. Then came the fourth round. Du Plessis landed a hard left hand, followed by more strikes. He took Izzy to the ground and locked in a submission, forcing him to tap out. The crowd erupted as Du Plessis celebrated his victory, defending his title and handing Adesanya the first submission loss of his career. This was also the first time Adesanya had experienced back-to-back losses in his career. It was a tough loss for Izzy, who said,
I just made a stupid, dumb mistake on the ground. Yeah, I'm disappointed in myself, but at the same time, I'm proud.
The fight sent shockwaves through the MMA community. Social media lit up with reactions, and fighters like Bisping shared their surprise. Fans praised Du Plessis for his performance and resilience. It was also a historic night for African MMA, the first time 2 African fighters competed for a title. Despite their rivalry, both showed respect after the match. Du Plessis apologized for his earlier comments and praised Adesanya's achievements. Izzy also congratulated Du Plessis on his victory. This loss raised further questions about the Last Stylebender's position among the top fighters and surprised fans who had seen him dominate the division for years. On a podcast with Theo Vaughn, Izzy talked about how therapy has helped him handle the stress of being famous and dealing with tough losses. He opened up about how anxiety and loneliness can affect anyone, even someone at the top of their game. Adesanya said that learning from hard times has been a big part of his journey. Izzy looks at failure differently than most people. He doesn't see it as the end of the road, but as a chance to grow and get better. He often talks about what he's learned from his losses and how they've made him stronger. He has been working hard to bounce back, making big changes to how he trains. He's added advanced sports science and data analytics to his routine, aiming to get back to championship form. This means using physical tests and performance data to design his workouts, which he compares to a preseason like in major sports leagues. He is also using hyperbaric therapy to help with recovery and physical conditioning. These changes show how determined Adesanya is to fix the problems exposed in his recent fights and to grow as a fighter. However, his recent losses have sparked many different different reactions in the MMA community, and fans have mixed opinions. Some people have criticized his fighting style, saying it's become too defensive and that he hasn't delivered on promises of exciting knockouts. Others have debated his public persona, especially his pre-fight trash talk, which no longer matches the results in the octagon. There's a lot of discussion about whether he can stay at the top level of the sport. On September 5, 2024, Adesanya was involved in a verbal confrontation after a road rage incident in Auckland, New Zealand. He was caught on video spitting in the direction of another individual. Adesanya released a statement expressing disappointment about the incident, alleging he was racially abused and stating he would press charges against the other individual. From the dusty streets of Lagos, Nigeria to the bright lights of the UFC, Izzy stands at a crossroads at 35 years old. It's not about wins and losses anymore. His next chapter is about legacy. Adesanya is gearing up for a crucial fight against Nasruddin Imavov, and this fight is about redemption. After tough setbacks, this might be Izzy's last chance to prove that he still has what it takes to compete with the best. One can only imagine the pressure and weight of the expectations, but if there's one thing we know about the Last Stylebender, it's that he thrives when the stakes are highest. Izzy has also been candid about his plans beyond fighting. He wants to be a father. He's already thinking about how to educate his future kids, talking about teaching them gymnastics and jiu-jitsu to build their confidence and discipline. Being realistic, he has said he doesn't plan to fight into his 40s. He knows the clock is ticking, but he's not done yet. And if there's one name that'll always be mentioned when you tell the Last Stylebender's story, that would be Alex Poatan Pereira. Check out the documentary we made exploring his life, career, and indigenous roots. We'll see you there.